a knockout competition won so often by a knockout blow.
It's close. The referee raises his arm. Bath have snatched it at the last gasp.
Throughout its many previous incarnations, the cup's been lifted by some of the game's greats. Today, will it be Northampton or Gloucester? The men from the West Country going for a League and Cup double, the most fanatically supported of all English rugby clubs, almost unstoppable in the Premiership, and in the Cup semi-final, slayers of the Tigers.
Here's the South African Delport, had Garvey inside. Garvey, he is so strong from this position. The try of the match is a sensational try for the Cherry and Whites.
Northampton Saints, 3 times in the final, 3 times a loser. Last season humiliated by London Irish in the Twickenham showpiece. But this season, humiliators of London Irish in the semi-final at Oxford. One of the most complete performances by any English club side throughout the season.
Here comes Darren Fox. Great try for the newcomer. Northampton are going to the Powergen Final.
International stars wherever you look. Big game, big names, whether in cherry and white or in black, green and gold. And after the euphoria of Dublin last Sunday, this is a day for the domestic club game to shine. And I suppose it's fair to say that if Dawson is to be a key figure this afternoon, the question to be asked is, will it be a matte or a gloss finish? Well, good afternoon. What an afternoon. I think we should be talking about the second test at Lords today, not a Rugby Cup final at Twickenham. And it's amazing to think that 22 years ago, when this competition was first played, Gloucester were in the final then, and there were barely 10,000 people here. And the whole competition was just poured on with derision by the game's authorities. And look what we have now, a truly massive occasion with 2 of the biggest clubs in the country taking part. Lawrence Dallaglio, still basking in the glory from last weekend in Dublin, is with us, and also twice the winner with Wasps, and 6 times was Jeremy Guscott part of a winning team with Bath in their glory days. And it's amazing to think, actually, that in your first final, the place was barely half full.
I know, it's just a sign of the times, how well rugby's progressed, what a spectacle it's become, and I remember the days when we actually got to 30,000, and now you get to capacity here with 75,000 on a fantastic day. I just hope the game lives up to the weather.
And just a quick thought about the knock-on effect from last weekend, Lawrence, because a lot of the guys who you were in the team with last weekend are out here again today. In a way, could that be actually an extra lift for them?
Well, I think so, because they'll still be full of the adrenaline and buzz of last weekend. But you know, the England team enjoyed a good night out, as well they should after last weekend. But I'm sure the likes of your Matt Dawsons, Ben Cohen's, Trevor Woodman's were straight back to the club the next day, getting ready for what is a huge game for the club. And as big players in their teams, it's important that they produce the goods today.
OK, well, let's hear now from a few of the key figures who are taking part this afternoon.
Job done in Dublin, England finally Grand Slam champions. Woodward's winners forever bonded together as the class of 2003 who seized their moment. But after swift celebrations, it's back to the day job with England colleagues, suddenly rivals with a cup success at Twickenham, the next target.
I don't want to be in a losing change room at the end of the game.
It's going to be a great contest between us.
It'd be fantastic for the town if we could bring the cup home.
Any time to get a trophy or a winner's medal is something that motivates you.
It was embarrassing last year, let's be honest. That's one thing we don't want to happen again.
It all goes out the window, really. England teammates, it's just Gloucester versus Northampton, and that's what we've got to focus on.
At the beginning of the year, when we sat down and talked about what we wanted to achieve, this is pretty high on the agenda, given the hurt from last year's final. Not so much that we lost, but that we didn't turn it into a contest. And it's not often in life you get a chance to put things right. But a lot of these players have that opportunity. So, it's an important game for us. There's no doubt about that.
It's a very, very big game for both sides. It could be a game that's just turned on one particular bit of brilliance by one player at some point in that game. You just never know.
Can you perhaps put your finger on one thing that might just help you become winners this time at Twickenham?
Losers, being losers before. I think, you know, it's just hopefully he's going to give us that little bit of drive. Obviously it hasn't been on the minds massively, but also, you know, we're professional sportsmen and no professional sportsman wants to lose, and, you know, it was embarrassing last year, let's be honest, and, you know, that's one thing we don't want to happen again.
The weight of history is not really on our side, so we've got, you know, lots of battle, but it's just about being there and enjoying the day, but doing the hard yards and just trying to tough it out.
Toughing it out's the key, with the big games coming thick and fast, but far from being fatigued. England's elite are back at base and ready for the next challenge.
I think the good thing is when we get back together again, the squad is such that they enjoy each other's company. They quite enjoy it when they get back together, so they work that much harder, and we're preparing for a game as we always would.
The guys you're talking about, Saintsmen through and through. They've been here all their lives, and they've got they've become immortalised in the white of England by winning the Grand Slam. They've got a chance to do the same in the black, green and gold. You know, this club's never won the trophy. 4 goes at it, 127 years, no cup. You know, if you can't get excited by that, you'll never get excited.
Well, it really is a terrific atmosphere down here by the tunnel, and with me a man who's no stranger to the Twickenham experience, Gloucester and England's Phil Vickery. And Phil, I know you yourself would love to be involved here today. When are we going to see you back in action?
Well, I'm not sure yet, but progress is going really well with the injury. Everything's fine, and obviously just very disappointed not to be involved today.
Favourites, of course, going into this cup final. Worthy of that tag, and just how confident are you?
I don't know about favourites. It's cup final day, and it's on the day who gets it right. And certainly I know Northampton, after last year's final, they'll be bitterly disappointed and they'll want to put it right this year. It's up to us to prove what we can do and at least go out and be very positive about the game.
How important is this cup to Gloucester?
Well, it's massive for the club. Obviously it was great to be here in the Zurich final last year, but to win your domestic cup is just fantastic, and it's everything for the club.
Best of luck, Henry. Thanks very much for the moment.
We'll talk more with Jerry and Lawrence in just a moment, but let's have a look at the sides who are actually playing this afternoon. Obviously a lot of very familiar names, but some that are perhaps less familiar. The Gloucester back division is a real league of nations from South Africa, Samoa, New Zealand, France, and even Gloucester though. Marcel Garvey is a genuine local lad. Gomersall against Dawson at scrum half is going to be a crucial confrontation. Now Gloucester have always prided themselves on nurturing local talent. Eustace, Cornwall, Woodman and Deacon, all men of Gloucestershire. Deacon at 37 becomes the oldest ever player in a final. And the back row has been a powerhouse all season. And it includes in James Forrester, perhaps the most talked about back row forward in the country. Still though waiting for his first cap. But Lawrence Delalio, you've obviously played against him, and at 22 his potential is immense, isn't it?
Well, he's got phenomenal pace, which is something you can't buy, and he plays with a freedom. You know, he's not been coached or overcoached, and if his front five perform today and give him a bit of space, you know, he's surely going to have an impact on this game.
The thing is, of course, the England back row is just so competitive, isn't it?
It's very competitive, and he's having a hard job dislodging a few of the 30-somethings at the moment.
He's a bit like a young Lawrence running away there. Lawrence is still at that pace.
No substitute for experience, though, let's face it. Okay, let's move on then to the Northampton Saints lineup and their back division. Well, the whole thing about this afternoon is there are just so many countries represented on the field today. This actually is an all-international backline. All Black Rahana, Wallaby Jorgensen, Scott Leslie and 4 English caps. 3 of them played in Dublin. That includes both halfbacks, of course. 50 caps for Dawson, 25 for Grayson, who's now right back in the England fold after a 3-year absence. The New Zealander Matt Lord is actually the only non-international in the Saints starting lineup this afternoon. Again, at the risk of repeating ourselves, another League of Nations, Auckland, Brisbane and Scotland via the Channel Islands in the back row. And as far as the front row is concerned, well, Robbie Morris, a new England cap this season. There's Tom Smith, the bedrock of Scotland and the Lions for so long, and Steve Thompson, everything a modern hooker should be and a whole lot more. It's fair to say, though, I think that Gloucester will start favourites, won't they? Because in the Premiership, they've carried all before them.
I think the bookies have got Gloucester by 7 points. And I think, you know, given on their 2 performances in the league, where Gloucester have won comfortably, that's probably the right direction to go to. But I think there's some key battles. There's the half-backs, and there's Hackney and Hazel. I think Hazel, the Gloucester open side, is one to watch because I think he's going to feature in England's side, not before the World Cup, but definitely afterwards.
How much does this whole match, goodness me, the noise here today is just extraordinary. How much does this match depend on how much of the ball the Northampton pack can get?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, that's always a key battle in the forwards, but you know, as Jerry said, it'll depend what the half-backs do with the ball. I think if there is an area where Northampton could be vulnerable, it's in that front five. And although Gloucester are missing, you know, Vickery, expect a big performance from Trevor Woodman against Robbie Morris. And if they can win ball, I think they've got a super back row. In saying that, Northampton, with the likes of Blowers, who has been an inspiration to them this season, you can't discount them. It's a very, very tough one to call.
And never also underestimate the importance of somebody having a good boot. And Ludovic Messier has been an absolute dead-eye dick all year for Gloucester.
He's been phenomenal, and you know, he's got them out of some scrapes, but he's also put them in a mess. I mean, Arnacan Cup game against Munster, I mean, his quick tap penalty knocked them out of the cup basically. So he'd be looking to put that right. But you know, Grayson himself, Paul Grayson, the Northampton player, he's got a great boot as well. So I hope it doesn't boil down to a contest with the kickers.
Especially in conditions like this, as you say. And Paul Grayson, especially now that he's part of the England setup again, he's like a man reborn, isn't he?
He is. I remember one scrum in last weekend, and the ball went back to to Paul, and he put it 45 metres down the pitch, straight back in the Irish 22, playing magnificently well, reborn under Wayne Smith, and I'm sure he'll have a big game today.
And for you?
I think Gloucester by 2 or 3 points.
I tip Gloucester against Munster. They don't want me to tip them the game, but I am.
Okay, well, we had fireworks coming out of Martin Johnson's head at Lansdowne Road last Sunday. We've got fireworks on the pitch now. What a fantastic occasion. Teams out on the field, and our commentary team, Brian Moore and Nick Mullins.
Goodness me, I can't imagine the Rolling Stones are going to make much more noise than this when they play at Twickenham in the summer. Supporters of two teams who encapsulate all that is good about the game. Two clubs from cities where rugby is the sport that matters most above all else. And Twickenham is all dressed up in its Sunday best for the season's domestic showpiece. Red and green, the dominant colours. And the noise from this 75,000 crowd. Goodness me, and they said the cup final was losing its attraction. We will have a brief hiatus for the national anthem, and then it's time to put your seatbelt on again.
For the national anthem. It's the Powergen Cup Final 2003, Gloucester against Northampton Saints. Come on!
A late change to Gloucester's starting 15. Lock Mark Cornwall suffering from stomach cramps. So 25 years after Dad John helped beat Leicester here, Rob Fiddler wears cherry and white in the big Twickenham final. He'll bed down in the scrum behind Andy Deacon, who at the age of 37 years and 9 months becomes the oldest player to appear in the cup final. Elsewhere, Henry Paul bids to add a Powergen Cup winners' medal to the 2 Challenge Cup equivalents he won with Bradford and Wigan. A Northampton team which has been tested at the highest level. Only Kiwi lock Matt Lord hasn't played Test rugby. 4 English stars are fresh from their Grand Slam heroics. There's Matt Dawson, Paul Grayson, Steve Thompson and Ben Cohen, who's back on the ground where he terrorised Australia, New Zealand and South Africa in the autumn. And if the Saints are going to win, then a pack driven by All Blacks Andy Blowers has to get the better of their Gloucester counterparts, a feat they have not achieved so far this season in the league. A decade on from refereeing his first cup final, Spreaders is back. The popular Tony Spreadbury has the whistle.
Gloucester. Ready.
A celebration of English rugby at a time when the game in this country has rarely felt better about itself. And Paul Grayson gets us underway. Gloucester were up very early, Rob Fiddler was making an immediate impact, and the first penalty goes to the Cherry and Whites. Brian.
Yeah, he's just slightly too early here. Bumps him. It was well taken anyway, but that's the start of what should be a roller coaster today, Nick. So many individual and positional unit battles all the way. There's quality all the way on both teams.
I mentioned the pack, and Northampton have been second best in the 2 Premiership games. This Cherry and White forward unit is so powerful.
Yeah, and they're going to need to be again, because they're going to need to keep Matt Dawson quiet today.
First line out of the match, and Olivier Azam goes long to Jamie Forrester, the number 8, and immediately Gloucester running the ball with another of their young live wires. This is James Simpson-Daniel. There really is talent in both teams wherever you look.
Well, just as an example, the wingers, you've got Simpson-Daniel there, Marcel Garvey, Mr. Harner, Cohen, who we all know, fantastic season. And a bit too lateral there from Gloucester.
2 line-outs in quick succession, both comfortably won by those throwing in. On that occasion, it was Steve Thompson to Matt Lord, the 25-year-old Kiwi. Here is Grayson. Has been oiling those Northampton wheels for so long, and they were playing the advantage. There was some pulling down in the line-out. It was Matt Lord who was hauled down, Brian.
Yeah, you can see there, he's still in the air there. You've got to wait till he comes down, because that's very dangerous.
Good talking.
And Thompson didn't like it. There's a bit of a scuffle there.
4th time Northampton have been to Twickenham for the final. They have lost on each of the 3 previous occasions, including last season, a 38-7 humiliation to London Irish. And they were saying in the week that at the end of that match, they all got together on the pitch and had a moment's silence where they all almost said to themselves, we will never experience this feeling again. And that's driving them on today. Steve Thompson, again going for Matt Lord, joined the club from North Harbour back in November and has done really well to force his way into this Cup final starting 15. Grayson with the early boots. It was meant for Ray Harner, and it was pinpoint perfection, wasn't it? They had Nick Beale outside, maybe should have used him.
Yeah, he was on for a second there, and he'd been in the corner. Dawson here.
That's the Gloucester 22. Gloucester concede the penalty.
Well, it's a good start for Northampton. They're making ground, and Gloucester won't be happy because they're getting over the gain line quickly.
That's the question.
Budge Pountney there. No, it's Andrew Blowers. Doesn't matter who it is, it's a penalty right in front of the post. And Gershom, very experienced. I don't think he'll miss this.
It was Andy Hazel who conceded it. We're going on about the confrontations. The back row really is going to be immense. Jake Bohr, Andy Hazel and Jamie Forrester against Mark Connors, Budge Pountney and Andrew Blowers. And the first of those confrontations has led to this penalty opportunity, the first of the match for Northampton and Paul Grayson. His 300th point of the season. And with 3 minutes gone at headquarters, the East Midlands edges into an early lead. Gloucester 0, Northampton 3.
Well, that will settle Northampton. What you can't see on the screen is that Northampton are the beneficiaries of a reasonably strong wind, actually.
Steve Williams tried to gather the restart, couldn't. And Gloucester drive on for the first time. They use this tactic to good effect against Leicester in the semi-finals. They've split both sides, left and right, but you have to win the ball in the first place. That's loose though, it will fall for James Simpson-Daniel. And having been gifted possession, Northampton threw it away and wrapped and ribboned the try for the Cherry and Whites. Within a minute, Gloucester are back in it.
Well, that was a disaster for Northampton. What on earth were they doing? Oh, it's a shocker. That's a shocking pass. And well, there you are. Thank you very much. You couldn't get much easier, could you? Let's have a look at this. Matt Dawson, Thompson, right in front of him. He's looking outside him, thinking, well, it can't be for me. It's too far in front. He looks back at him and says, what on earth was that? And James, he won't score many easy ones than that, will he?
The conversion attempt from Ludovic Mercier. And the left-footed Frenchman caps the comeback. What a start, and a try for James Simpson-Daniel.
Well, this is virtue from the kick-off, and that's just a wayward pass. Matt Dawson, one of the most secure scrum halves in the country, had a great season, and that's just an aberration.
Did well though, Simpson-Daniel. Always anticipate the potential mistake, and he was on the ball. And Gloucester lead by 7 points to 3, and we have played 6 breathless minutes of the Powergen Cup final. Here's Mercier. It's a late tackle from Andy Blowers, and as we watch the ball go into touch, there are 1 or 2 Gloucester players very unhappy with the challenge by Blowers on Ludovic Mercier.
And the far touch judge has got his flag out. He's seen it, and it was late as well. Well, the South African player that did that in virtually the same position before Christmas got his marching orders. And what will this be?
Ball cleared by the player then late shoulder barge. I don't have a number, the player was parallel to me. Right?
Okay. Was it no number?
I can't see the number.
Got a number, Ed?
Sideways.
Yeah. Okay, recommendation?
Penalty kick, telling off.
50 metres in.
Well, the touch judge on the far side, Stuart Terridge, didn't know the number, but we did, and it was Andrew Blowers. And I think Blowers has got away with that. He'd have got a talking to at the very least.
Just a score. Leg, okay? Go steady. All right, penalty kick, 50 metres in.
Well, that was good. I wonder whether that came from the video referee, Ed Morrison, who was watching in one of our trucks and, having seen the pictures, was able to tell Tony Spreadbury.
Well, I hope so. We're being told that Ed Morrison isn't allowed to do that, but justice has been done, and to be honest, I think Blowers is lucky. I mean, this is not even, well, it's horrendously late. Look, bang, there you are. Yeah, he knows exactly what he's doing there.
That's not a card.
He said it's not a card. Oh well.
Can't hear anything.
Anyway, 50-metre kick here against the wind.
The kick taken where the first initial kick was taken from. That's why it's brought back to the halfway line. And here's Mercier's attempt from 50 metres plus. Got the legs. Didn't quite have the direction, but that's against the wind.
Yeah, well, he had another 5 metres in him as well. That's another signal to Northampton. Don't give penalties away.
Thank you, Ash. Thank you, Ash. Good call.
Interesting decision to play Andrew Blowers at number 8. Plays also at 6 and 7, but Northampton coach Wayne Smith says he likes his number 8s to play like 7s, and he thinks Blowers has got decent lines of running. Well, he certainly found the quickest way to Ludovic Mercier there, that's for sure.
Wait. Stay.
We're hearing, by the way, that it was Ashley Ray, the touch judge on this near side, who identified the culprit.
Advantage, Northampton. Still playing advantage.
Referee Tony Spreadbury playing the advantage. Northampton will have the scrum from the initial knock-on.
That's good. So that's it. Thank you for that.
But it was good communication in that case between the officials, because the touch judge on the far side, Stuart Terridge, didn't know, which was not much help to Tony Spreadbury, but Ashley Ray on this near side did and told him.
Well, as long as one of the 3 of them get it, doesn't matter, does it? The right decision was made in the end. But that's another very odd start from Northampton when the ball moved wide there. Very nervous and tentative.
Gloucester pushed up in the front row, flicked back inside by Grayson to Cohen, who's immediately jackknifed. Here's Grayson, stepped outside his 22, as you heard Tony Spreadbury tell the players. And here's the former South African fullback Tinus Delport, playing at Twickenham for the first time, as are so many of these players. Ball kicked forward by Henry Paul, hint of an overlap. And Ben Cohen needed to be alert to the danger.
Well, they obviously fancied the pace out there, because for a moment there was a 3-on-1 here is being closed down. The two men outside there you can't see, and here they come. I think if that had been moved, it could have been in the corner. But it does show there's pace all round this pitch.
It's actually Bruce Rehana who got there first, but the two wingers doing the job that they have to do as well in defensive mode. And I think they're going to be tested a lot. They will be stretched by Gloucester. That's Andrew Blowers down injured. There were one or two fitness doubts about him in the week leading up to the match, and this would be a major blow if Blowers continue.
And you can hear the shutters being transposed to Twickenham. Fans of Gloucester are coming out in Northampton, irrespective of the fact that they are, or have the wind at their backs, are under pressure at the moment.
Space, boys.
Northampton's physio Cliff Eaton tells Blowers he's fit enough to continue, but it's Gloucester's line out. Scored one try already.
Stay, boys, stay. No hands.
Mercier to Henry Paul. Van Leeuwen tripping over his own bootlaces. Maybe a drop goal from Mercier. Straight and true, and Gloucester have 10 points.
Well, it was very straightforward. Look at that, he looks cool, doesn't he? What is the problem, he's saying? Oh, c'est bon, eh? And I'll tell you what Northampton want to be worried about is that both times that Gloucester have moved the ball left and right, there have been extra men outside. Now, Gloucester haven't used them yet, but they're there, and at some point they'll be made to pay for that.
Did you develop your French talking to the French front row?
I can't repeat what he was saying to the French front row on live TV.
It probably wasn't c'est bon. Here's Mercier again, who's had a very, very solid start. Does the unfussy stuff really well, Ludovic Mercier. Pushing for a place in Bernard Laporte's French World Cup squad at the end of the year. As is Andy Gomersall in Clive Woodward's. Took the initial ball, but the ball wasn't knocked forward, so Mercier will have another opportunity. Again, doesn't find touch though. This is Grayson. Ben Cohen, 3 tries against the Wallabies. The Blacks in the box here in the autumn. No room on that occasion. Here's Bruce Rehana, once an All Black himself. Again, playing at Twickenham for the first time. Tom Smith over the 10-metre line. Dawson to Grayson. John Leslie. Neatly out by Jorgensen, but again, for the second time in the match, Northampton's backs giving the ball away on a plate. Tinas Delport shepherding the ball out of play.
Well, he's frantic. Nick is all over the place, and
they've taken that line out very quickly. Delport aware of what was going on. Gomersall wanting a big game today. And again, Mercier finds touch. It's another of those fantastic confrontations, the half-backs as well. 2 well-matched half-back combinations.
Yeah, they've been contending for the England place, and Gomershall's had a good season. But they know, I would think that Gloucester would have said to themselves, if we don't get hold of Dawson, he will end up running this game, if not running the referee and everything else.
Quick shot at the Gloucester bench. Nigel Melville and Dean Ryan, who've been here before when they were working for Wasps. It's a penalty to Gloucester because of a line-out technicality which says that you're not allowed to step beyond the 15-metre line.
Well, he is right, Tony Spreadbury there, but you can't really criticise him for getting the law right, I suppose, but it didn't have a consequence, did it? Because the ball was 22, no one cared, and Gloucester are very happy because they've gone forward, and that's a hell of a kick against the wind. That's another 40 metres.
It is one of those laws, though, isn't it, that just confuses the neutral viewer sometimes, and Budge Pountney having a word about it, I think.
Well, he told a referee a couple of weeks ago he's having a shocker.
Olivier Azam with the one-handed line out for the Cherry and Whites, taken in by Rob Fiddler, a late replacement for Cornwall before the match kicked off. Cornwall going down with stomach cramps. Here's Henry Paul out to Delport, a Kiwi to a South African.
No offside players. Hands out! Stay!
Gloucester have certainly moved on from the days when they were just a thud and muscle outfit in the pack, and here's one of the reasons why. Marcel Garvey. He's like a waltzer let loose. But Northampton's defence did very well there. Garvey was wrapped up and they smuggled the ball back.
Well, as soon as he got the ball, the crowd went up there. It's well played off the ground there. As long as he plays the ball straight away, it's okay. I thought Northampton were lucky there because I saw 3 bodies wrapped round that ball. Gloucester were never going to get that back.
Hold! Engage!
Slight weight advantage with the Northampton pack, but I think there's a feeling abroad that the Gloucester pack might just have the edge. We will see. Not much between them there. Grayson clears the touch. There's Paul Grayson, enjoying his rugby as much as ever again this season. He was in the doldrums a bit not so long ago, but the arrival of Wayne Smith really has rejuvenated his career, as it has that man as well, Matt Dawson. 12 years since he joined Northampton as an 18-year-old from Marlow. Never won a big cup with Northampton. Budge Pountney takes the loose ball in. Here is Dawson, who was missing for the Heineken Cup victory here 3 years ago. Taken on by Garvey. Pountney to Grayson. Ball went backwards off Simpson Daniel. Still a hint of a high tackle there, maybe, Brian.
Yeah, he's not doing it though. And again, Gloucester have made ground there. Well fielded, and they've made, well, about 40-50 metres. And Northampton again are under pressure. They're in the 22 again.
Well, neither of them are hanging around, are they? Another quick line out. It's been a ferocious start. And the temperature a little earlier was nudging late 60s, early 70s. It's a very, very hot day here in London. And if they continue at this pace, then we really will have their fitness tested. There's John Steele.
Yeah, it's been a long season as well. Phil Vickery next to him there. I bet he wishes he was on the field.
John Steele, who was coach of this Northampton team on the greatest day in their history so far, the victory against Munster. Kings of Europe 3 years ago. Never, ever won the top domestic prize, though. Gloucester shortening the line out to no good effect. Matt Lord barging through for the Saints. Took an early lead, but they've been stung by the Gloucester fight back. Grayson, neat interchange with John Leslie. Terry Fanalua got in the way. Was that a deliberate knock-on? Tony Spreadbury playing the advantage, and will come all the way back. And it was deliberate.
Yeah, it was deliberate. The rule is if you knock it forward and you're making a genuine attempt to get hold of the ball and catch it, fine. Azam there, that's a poor throw. Lord is off. The ball comes left here. And this is a bit, it's a knock on. Off you go! Comes left here, there's a attempt of a run around, that's too close there. Fano, no real attempt to do that, just knocked it down.
Might be one or two in Wales watching that, remembering what Justin Bishop did in the Six Nations not so long ago, thinking if only the referee that day, Steve Lander, had looked upon it the same way.
Well, I thought that one was a penalty as well.
That's in the past. This is the present and the future. And Grayson to double Northampton's score. He really is one of the best in the business. The kicker of all 9 points in the Heineken Cup and all 6 points so far in the Powergen. And midway through the first half, it's Gloucester 10, Northampton 6.
Well, Northampton, who really haven't, apart from the opening 3 minutes, been in the Gloucester half at all, have clawed their way back in contention.
High restart from Mercier. It might have been Blowers who saw it all the way down and managed to feed the ball out to Grayson. Taken on by Cohen. Timus Delport seems to have been caught out of position there. He was certainly bamboozled by Grayson's kick. And that gave Northampton time to get the players there and to recycle the ball. Grayson again. Terry Fanalua needing the assistance of James Simpson-Daniel, but it's getting a bit hairy. Northampton bodies flying in. John Leslie wrapping them up. Another penalty. And Gloucester dug themselves a bit of a hole there.
Yeah, well, the rule is if you're in trouble, you don't pass it to someone else who gets into further trouble. You've just got to hang on there. He did well even to catch that.
We've had a yellow card, and I think it's for Rob Fidler, and I can only assume that it's for talking back to the referee. There he is, Rob Fidler, who wasn't even due to be playing this morning. And within 22 minutes of the start, he's got 10 minutes to contemplate the rest of the match. I wonder if he said something to Tony Spreadbury. Anyway, not that it will concern Paul Grayson, because they've got 3 points, but also much more critically, they will have an extra man for the next 10 minutes. 2 quick-fire Paul Grayson penalties. Suddenly the lead is down to just a single point. Gloucester 10, Northampton 9.
And Gloucester only have themselves to blame for finding that they've given 6 points away in a couple of minutes, because one was a deliberate knock-on and then simply not dealing with a chip through. Dancing around on your own line is never a good idea, but it wasn't really Simpson-Daniel's fault.
We're hearing, by the way, that Rob Fidler has been yellow carded for killing the ball. We'll try and have a look at that for you once we get a next break in play. But killing the ball, the reason for Rob Fidler, and it is all getting hairy, isn't it?
Yeah, Trevor Woodburn right-handed someone there right in front of Tony Spreadbury. Don't know how he didn't see that.
Dawson to Cohen. It's bubbling up beautifully. Taken on by Budge Pountney into Gloucester territory. Remember, Northampton with that one-man advantage in the pack. Here's Grayson. Leslie offering himself. Dawson again there quickly to Grayson. Lovely turn of pace from Grayson. This is Nick Beale. Sensational.
Well, they made him pay, didn't they? Northampton, man up. And that was clinical. Knew where they wanted to go. Great break by Dawson there. What? No, Grayson, look at that. Well, that's poor from Ludwig Mercier. Taking a dummy like that, you can't do that.
It was Grayson with the initial break. Dawson to Grayson to Beale. We've been saying that for almost a decade.
Yeah, and been a great servant to Northampton as Nick Beale.
Grayson, whose break led to the try, adds the 2 points. And with close on 25 minutes gone here at Twickenham, it's a seesaw old final. Gloucester 10, Northampton 16. because of this wonderfully worked try by the Saints.
I'll tell you what he does well there. That's the pass. Instead of just going forward and not looking for his support, didn't go all the way, waited, and an exquisitely timed pass. Build his husband. That's 13 points in about 6 minutes.
Junior Paramore, meanwhile, has come on for Gloucester because we assume Jake Ball is off for a blood injury. The referee was playing the advantage because the ball was knocked on from the restart, and judging by these players, we could all do with a bit of a breather. Let's have a listen to the referee.
Seconds, please! Seconds!
Well, here we go. Matt Dawson is very unhappy because someone's got hold of his nose. Always a little dig there. You see that from right, Adam Eustace. Bit of a crack.
Poor old Dawson won't win any modelling contest at the moment either with his bloody nose. Confirmation that Jake Ball, the Gloucester skipper, the South African, is off for some treatment as well. Dawson quickly to Grayson. Penalty to Gloucester. Taken quickly by Henry Paul. Can't take your eye off this match for a moment. Tinas Delport was up there in support. This is Adam Eustace, the big forward, resetting it on the Northampton 22. Must have been a kicker ahead of Grayson. A runner ahead of Grayson when he cleared the ball. Spreadbury this time playing the advantage to Gloucester. Here's James Simpson-Daniel. Here a month ago for England against Italy. Come all the way back for the penalty. Players diving in off their feet at the ruck.
Well, if I'd have been Jake Ball there, I'd have been very, very angry with Henry Paul. You've just conceded 13 points, you're a man down, and you've got a kickable penalty. You need the points to steady the ship, and you take a quick one, and you end up back in your own half. They needed the kick at goal there, and that was, well, it was exciting, but it wasn't the right thing to do at the time.
It was Matt Lord, by the way, who conceded the penalty. He was the one who couldn't resist going down on his feet, but Gloucester have committed the cardinal sin from a penalty of not finding touch. They would have had the line out deep in Northampton's 22, but they didn't find touch, and Tinas Delport tries to rectify the situation. Grayson bamboozled by the bouncing ball. But again, have to stay on your feet, not allowed to go on your knees. Grayson and Northampton will have the scrum.
Well, Northampton had a bit of an escape there because the ball bounced awkwardly, and Gloucester would have been in with a shout had that knock-on not occurred. Here we go, look, can go anywhere, and there's just a little knock-on there.
It's been pretty dull so far, hasn't it?
Well, I don't know where to look on the field. There's individual battles going on. The punch has been thrown off the ball. Ball's been thrown in quickly. It's fantastic stuff.
Northampton with a 6-point lead. A little over 10 minutes to go with a one-man advantage.
And I reckon that at the moment the Gloucester front row are getting on top. Northampton have had trouble in their last two put-ins, and they were shoved in the air then. And Gloucester a man down as well.
Northampton got the shove on there. Cleared by Grayson, picked up by Tinas Delport. Played in South Africa's equivalent, the Currie Cup final a couple of years ago, but was really looking forward to this week. Lovely run by Forrester. Goodness me, Forrester to Garvey. Garvey for the line! We have rarely seen anything like this at the start of the Cup final. We've only had half an hour. It's Gloucester 15, Northampton 16, and there's another hour to go.
And they're a man down as well. Forrester has been doing this all year. Very powerful runner. Goes between Thompson. That's a terrible attempt at a tackle by Robbie Morris. Nothing more than an arm out. And Garvey is powerful and quick. Look at this. What on earth is that? You can't do that, can you? And Garvey just finishes it off.
And the conversion in front of the posts was no problem, and Gloucester have retaken the lead. Half an hour gone. Gloucester 17, Northampton 16.
Well, it's not usual, is it, when you're a man down to do that?
And a moment of history for Marcel Garvey, the youngest ever try scorer in a cup final. Still only 19. He's just beaten Barry Evans' record, who was 20 when he scored for Leicester against Bristol 20 years ago. Northampton have another penalty. Grayson, and all this, remember, with Gloucester down to 10 men, will come all the way back for the penalty. And having just retaken the lead, Gloucester ready themselves to relinquish it again.
Well, how often does that happen? Straight after you've gone, you give a penalty away, and it's going to be kicked. And it's James Forrest who did all that work for the first one.
There's Rob Fiddler preparing himself to come back onto the pitch. Dad John won the cup with the Cherry and Whites against Leicester back in 1978. He will be watching on proudly today. And here is Paul Grayson. 4 from 4 so far. 5 from 5 would put the Saints back ahead. To half-time. Gloucester 17, Northampton 19, and this is top draw entertainment.
Well, that is 9 points that Gloucester have conceded that have been self-inflicted. They have to watch this, because Northampton, well, they would be 7 points behind were it not for the penalties which Gloucester have given them, all in front of the post as well.
Cherry and Whites back up to their full complement of 15. Steve Thompson goes to ground, turns his body to make sure it comes back on the green side. Grayson to Dawson, rugby's equivalent of hinge and bracket. And it's a familiar finale finding touch.
I'm not sure they'd be very happy about hinge and bracket, but
Peters and Lee.
That's no better. Oh dear.
Whatever you want to call them, they're both eyeing the World Cup for England in October. Grayson particularly with the injury to Charlie Hodgson. Here's Mercier up over the halfway line. Andy Gomersall searching for the ball. And a strong drive from Azam, who has just slipped out of the French frame for the time being. Wins a penalty for Gloucester. This is Henry Paul operating in the close confines. Gloucester were going nowhere, so Matt Lord, who's been penalised for not rolling away from the tackle situation, coughs up the penalty.
Well, that was a tremendous drive from Olivier Azam. Took 3 players with him, including Thompson. Watch this. Well, a bit earlier, we brushed 2 more off. Steve Thompson is he's huge. And Azam, very, very powerful. All his own work. And Mercier, well, you back him to put this one over, wouldn't you?
It's one of those days where the kickers just can't miss. And for the fourth time in the first 34 minutes, the lead changes hands. Gloucester 20, Northampton 19.
And more good news for Gloucester because their captain Jake Bohr is hoping to retake the field in about 2 minutes' time. He took a knock to the mouth. They've been working on him in the medical room, but we're hoping to see him back in action in a couple of minutes.
Won't just be the players who need half-time. There are one or two exhausted fans around us. Gloucester snaffling the restart. Gomersall snaps the ball out to Mercier. And that familiar Gallic left boots again doesn't find touch. Bruce Rehana gathers. And here's one of the try scorers, Nick Beale, now 32 to Ben Cohen. Dawson to Grayson. Here's Rehana again, a sevens expert. Really can motor, given an open road. Steve Thompson on his own 10-metre line. Now the drive comes on from the Northampton pack. Dawson thinks about going himself. Almost waiting for the tackle to come there, wasn't he? Pountney waits in anticipation. One of the survivors from the Heineken Cup triumph, Budge Pountney. It's neat work in the tight from Northampton. Here's Grayson. He'll open it up and he'll look for Bruce Rehana. It was that close. Ball was knocked on, but Tina Delport brings it away for Gloucester. Mercier. Dawson couldn't gather.
Well, it is all over the field, isn't it? Ebbing and flowing. Oh, so close, and for a moment I thought Delport might go the length. It's a fantastic battle, isn't it? Two sides committed to playing the ball, committed to running as well. No little amount of skill being exhibited.
Junior Paramore with a smile on his face. Back to the bench. Jake Bohr, as Jill suggested a couple of minutes ago, fit to retake his place. He's been stitched up. Up to the halfway line, Northampton. Driven on by Mark Connors, the big Aussie signing this season. Here's Grayson again, using the boot a lot to pin Gloucester back in their own 22. It was well taken by James Simpson-Daniel. Terrific skill. And here is somebody else for whom a bright future shines. Jamie Forrester, not much he could do there. Gomersall to Mercier. Again, giving the ball away though. That's the Gloucester 22. Driven on by Blowers. Tries to hand off his opposite number, Jamie Forrester. Northampton have men over. Cohen might go all his way. Big tackle from Tina Delport. Tom Smith is there to hoover up the bits. Still opportunities. Ball's not coming out, and it's not coming out because there are Gloucester players stopping it coming out. Penalty to Northampton.
Leave it, go back.
Well, that all came from, well, it was an audacious try and chip by Ludovic Mercier, but I'm not sure when you're under pressure that you want to be doing that just outside your 22. Because it bounced the wrong way, and that's what set up the Northampton platform, and ultimately they're going to have another kick at goal now.
There's just a momentary hush around Twickenham. I think everyone tries to take in what they've seen in the first half. There's going to be an extra minute, and I think we'll all be grateful for that. I'm not sure we could have taken another 5 or 6. We need to sit down in a darkened room.
Well, it has been breathless. Great value for money.
This for the lead to change hands for a 5th time. A brief cameo appearance for England in Dublin last Sunday. Much more than a cameo appearance here for Paul Grayson. He's kicked his kicks, and in first half injury time, it's Gloucester 20, Northampton 22.
It's Gloucester 20, Northampton Saints 22.
A minute for Budge Pountney and his cohorts to hang on to the lead.
He needed well in that move that led to the penalty. Good skills in contact, offloaded the ball.
Good contest for the ball there between Jamie Forrester and Steve Williams. And here's the grizzly Matt Lord, 25-year-old Kiwi. Ball was behind Tom Smith. Had to go backwards. That was knocked on. And that will do. Goodness gracious me. One of the quickest 41 minutes of rugby I've experienced this season. It absolutely flew by. There was hardly a moment to draw breath in the match. And Northampton lead Gloucester. Gloucester scored the first try, hand-wrapped for them really by Matt Dawson. James Simpson-Daniel scored. But when Rob Fiddler went to the sin bin, Northampton hit back immediately. It was Paul Grayson's break and the ageless Nick Beale skipping under the posts. Gloucester, though, even down to 14 men, had plenty left in the locker. And just watch this break from Jamie Forrester, really pressing for a place at the World Cup in October, as is Marcel Garvey, now officially the youngest try scorer in an English Cup final. 19-year-old Garvey scoring the tries, but it has been a magnificent piece of entertainment from both teams.
Well, Phil Vickery, given the endeavours of Gloucester in that first half, how disappointed will they be to go in 2 points down?
Well, I think obviously I'd be disappointed getting off to a good start, but I think after a good start, certainly Northampton, when they got their quick ball, looked very, very dangerous. And with the sin-binning offence, I think we'll be sort of slightly relieved, if anything, because we could have been a lot more points down. But a lot of mistakes, but there's a lot of endeavour, as you said, from both teams today to play, and it's making for an exciting game for the supporters.
I saw you having a quick word with some of the guys as they were going down the tunnel. What were you saying there?
No, just, heads up, keep trying. If you want to keep playing rugby, you've got to keep taking those quick tap penalties, keep the pace of the game up, and hopefully we can sneak a couple of more tries in the second half.
OK, thanks for the moment. Thank you very much.
Well, 41 minutes and 42 points, and I dare say the 75,000 who are here today glad that they've come along.
Yeah, it's been absolutely breathless stuff. We've had tries, penalties, drop goals, sin bins, everything you could want from a whole game, let alone half a game. And I think, it's been fantastic to watch, very close as we predicted before, but Gloucester will be the more disappointed of the two teams. They've at times lost their heads a little bit in this half, should have taken opportunities, but credit to both sides, the endeavour and the willingness to run the ball and tap from anywhere has been fantastic.
This is rugby as entertainment, isn't it? And it was their first Gloucester try was certainly entertaining, if not sort of an element of the comedy.
Well, there was quite a bit of comedy in it, actually. If we watch it here, Northampton seem to have everything under control, but Grayson's pointing to an infringement there and looking at the ref, and the communication kind of breaks down from here on in. So Thompson's, who is circled, slipped into the fly half position. And the pass we think is going to get there quite easily, but it just rolls on. And Simpson-Daniel, in credit to him, is the first one to react. He's only got 5 yards. He only had to collect it, and he scored. But if we watch the ball, look, Thompson could have caught that. He's just let it go to open space. Simpson-Daniel, quick as you like. Thanks very much. 7 points.
Now, it's hard enough a match like this when you've got 15 each, but when you're down to 14, it obviously gets an awful lot tougher. Did you think it was fair enough for Fiddler to be sent to the bin?
Well, I mean, it's early in the game to be sin-binning people, and he's really set his stall out now, Tony Spreadbury, by what he's done. But they get into a little bit of trouble.
Fiddler's number 5 there, and that's the infringement. We'll watch him come round.
Yeah, he's just come round the wrong side. He's not made an attempt to get out of the way, and in a lot of Premiership games that we see this season, certainly early on in the game, a lot of players get away with that. As I said, Tony's made a decision to sin-bin him, and if that happens later on in the game, maybe he'll do that for again.
But that's a key point for a referee to do that, though, isn't it? Early on in the match, you say, this is how I'm going to play the rules this afternoon, and it's up to you to abide by them.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you've got cute players on both teams, but in all honesty, both sets of players have set the stall out and said, Tony, this is the way we want to play. They're tapping, they're taking quick line-outs, and it's fantastic. But you're right. He set his stall out and said, look, if anyone wants to kill the ball under their own post, I'm going to get, I'm going to sin bin you. But you've got to continue along that vein if you start with it.
Nick Beale's testimonial year, a man of Northampton for so many years now, and this was a great moment for him.
It is. It's going to freeze it as soon as Grayson gets the ball, and he's got an overlap here. He's got 4 on 3, and he decides bravely to take it on his own. And there's only Mercier there who should be able to make the tackle. We run it on. So Grayson just casually steps inside, and now Beale's only got Delport. I only say only got Delport to beat, but he just gasses him. I mean, he's well happy with that. That's a very well worked try. But Mercier, look at that and have a few nightmares.
I'm sure if you were Wayne Smith, you'd be saying to your players, let's run at Mercier there, because the defence there and the inside defence to get to him has been a little bit weak.
The picture we saw just there actually was Nick Beale's family who are here en masse on his
selling programmes.
It did look a bit like that actually, didn't it? Yeah. Now, as for Garvey is, you've obviously sort of played opposite him on occasions, or not literally opposite him, but you've been against him. He's a powerful guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's fantastic, and he burst onto the scene with 3 tries on his debut, and many thought, well, was it beginner's luck? But he's been absolutely fantastic this season.
And Forrester we spoke about at the start, didn't we?
Yeah, Forrester's like running like a back. He's just skinned 2 forwards, which you like. But he gives the ball a bit early here, and it's only Garvey's power and pace that gets him through those 3 tacklers. I mean, 3 Northampton defenders converged on him. But this is a great break. But you'd expect Forrester to run past the front row. And then look at the power. I mean, that's just pure aggression and pace that gets him over the line there.
Sure, youngest player to score in a cup final. We'll be delighted with that.
And we were talking about the strength and depth that English rugby has at the moment, and about the fact that Forrester can't get in the back row. When you've got somebody like Garvey, who's a finisher as he is, who really almost he's a very much a fringe figure as far as England's back 3 are concerned. It makes you realise, what you've got at your disposal.
It is. I mean, the strength and depth is phenomenal. But I wouldn't be surprised if 1 or 2 players that perhaps haven't featured in this championship, the likes of possibly Forrester and Garvey, might come through by the World Cup. But if they don't, it's no great disgrace. We've got some wonderful players for the future.
And one of the players, of course, who is occupying those positions at the back at the moment is Ben Cohen. And we thought from our position here that he might actually score at this point here.
Yeah, he did. I mean, Northampton managed to keep the ball alive, and Gloucester just slipping off a few tackles, and the ball gets out. And Ben, in an England shirt, has been finishing these off. But credit to the Gloucester defence that they obviously decided that they didn't want to concede another try. But they still managed to work a penalty from this situation, which has enabled them to go in at half-time, 22-20 up. And as I said, on the balance of play, I think Gloucester will be disappointed with the score.
And one of the reasons they'll be disappointed was because Henry Paul Tapton went on a penalty that produced nothing when it was a near cert 3 points from a penalty. And you were alluding to a bit of tactical naivety in the Heineken Cup as well, weren't you?
They got a habit of that. You kind of half expect a Frenchman to kind of lose his head a little bit. A Kiwi come Englishman. You don't really want that, and Melville will, I'm sure, be having a few words with him and say, look, let's take what's on offer, let's not gamble.
It's easy for us to say that from here. Vickery's, who's the normal captain, is injured. Jake Bohr was actually off the pitch on a blood bin at the time, and you need that leadership throughout your whole team, and clearly they didn't have that at that moment. But credit to them, they came back and scored a try straight afterwards.
Okay, we'll talk more about this game in a moment. Let's talk about last Sunday, and let's talk about you.
I like that.
Yeah, that's enough about you. Let's talk more about you. An immense, a towering performance. You must have got in the dressing room after that game and thought, yeah.
I was pleased, definitely, because whenever you go out on the field, you want to be effective for the team, and you're judged on your overall effectiveness. But to be honest with you, things went my way to a certain extent. I mean, I have to, buy Matt Dawson a few pints after the way he laid on this try for me.
I think this is summed out how Lawrence's fee. I know this is quite early in the game, but have some of that. Can't translate. I don't think we can repeat it.
No, I was obviously quite pumped up. The lads were saying, remember, you did score the first one against Scotland 2 years ago. 3 years ago. Remember how that game ended. But it was a magnificent team performance, and I can't take credit for that. And you've got to remember that over the whole Grand Slam, 35 England players were used. It's obviously a privilege to be involved in that last game, but 35, and that's a real measure. The likes of Robbie Morris, Andy Gomes, a real measure of the strength and depth that we've got going forward.
I kind of feel that the feel-good factor that's pervading English rugby is actually mirrored here today as well, in the whole mood of the occasion.
I think certainly the buzz of any player being involved with England and having won the Grand Slam and they're going back to their clubs, I think everybody will cling to that. It might be a bit difficult for managers and coaches sometimes just to say, look, calm down, boys. But I think they've probably gone to the other lads who weren't involved, come on, ride on the euphoria and the buzz that these guys have brought back and let's go for it. And with this weather and the kind of attitude of the players at the moment, we're seeing a few mistakes, but the majority of it is positive rugby. It's high-risk rugby, which is entertaining for everybody here.
It's been a fantastic day for rugby actually at all levels here today, because they've had 4 finals during the course of the day. It began, I think the first match kicked off at, was it 10:15 or 10:30 this morning anyway, and Old Alanians beat Shipston-on-Stour in the Junior Vars final 16-10. Then St Mary's Old Boys of Bristol went down 31-16 to Hertford in the Intermediate Cup final. Then the Shield final, which was a tremendous game, Orrell beat Exeter by 20 points to 20. Here's Scott Barrow scoring one of his 2 tries. He's the Orrell fullback, former rugby league player, and he had an immense game throughout the afternoon. But there were some good tries in this game, not least from Josh Lucy's brother, Ed, playing on the wing for the Exeter Chiefs this afternoon, because he really had to go for that, rather harder than the one James Simpson-Daniel had a few moments ago. And that made it 26-20, and Exeter threw everything at Orrell in the last few minutes, but to no avail. And in the end, it was 26-20 to the side from Lancashire. And there's Andy Craig, the Scotland international, getting the Shield at the end of the afternoon. And that was at sort of 3:30 this afternoon. Then we all watched the Grand National on the big screen here. Back the winner. Just thought I'd mention that.
Let's talk about you now.
Yeah, absolutely. So here come the teams again. More of the same, do you think?
Yes, I think so. I mean, both coaches will be saying that, but I think you'll start to see teams going out with a big start. But I wouldn't be surprised if the more tactical players in each team, start to pull out the stops with a few more kicks.
You both up for Gloucester before we started. Are you still sticking it?
I think Gloucester look the more nervy of the 2 teams. They've thrown the ball a little bit in their own 22 in defence, and they've got to cut that out. Just be simple. In your own 22, if you're under pressure, get rid of it, and then sort of plan from there. So if they keep on doing that, they could actually lose. But it's been a fantastic game up to now, and let's hope for more of the same.
Well, the record number of points in the final is 66 when Saracens played Wasps a few years ago, and we've had 44 already. Second half then, and here we go with Brian Moore and Nick Mullins.
Thank you very much, John. Yep, I was just doing the sums myself as well, and I suspect that record of 66 points is very much under threat. 42 points in the first half. Let's have something very similar, please, as Ludovic Mercier restarts for Gloucester, and immediately Northampton spilling the ball at the line-out. I think it was Steve Williams who was hoisted highest, but couldn't gather, and Trevor Woodman tries to inch the ball into the 22. Gomersall, though, spreads it wide, still playing the advantage. The advantage is over now, though, as Terry Fanalua feeds Delport. This is Simpson-Daniel, brought to the ground by Nick Beale. Gomersall again. He was tangled up, though, by Paul Grayson. He had his hands on the ball, according to the referee, Tony Spreadbury. A bit like somebody who, out on a country walk, gets their coat caught on the barbed wire. That's what happened to Gomersall there. Dawson clears with the box kick. Here's Timus Delport. Scored one of the tries that saw off Leicester in that controversial semi-final. Well taken by Nick Beale, not just the way he caught the ball, but turned his body in mid-air as well, spun in mid-air to present the ball on the green side, and ensuring Northampton got the scrum.
Well, Gloucester will be disappointed there, because just for a second they were on the front foot and they managed to turn the ball over.
Stand back. Everything's working. Okay. No, go straight. Give him a shoulder, both of you. Crash and hold. Engage. Stay down. Stay down.
Terrific surge from the Gloucester pack, and Northampton had to get that ball away because they were in big trouble. This is Terry Fanalua. As Andrew Blow is trying to rescue the situation for Northampton, but there are still alarm bells ringing. Henry Paul, long pass to Mercier. Stretches it to Simpson-Daniel. They've got 3 men here. Jake Ball takes it on. Northampton's defence, though, now back in numbers. Gloucester really loading the far right-hand side. Paul, neatly played by Garvey, driven on, and the try for Jamie Forrester. The points just keep coming and coming and coming. And Jamie Forrester, who loves these hard pitches, skips in for another try, and Gloucester have the lead again.
Well, it started as it finished, hasn't it? Ball being spread wide. Very well created there. Garvey flicking the ball on, knowing he had two men outside. Oh, did he put that down right? I'm not sure. Let's look at that again. As a winger, if you go in there, you've got to hit that man. You've got to hit him. You've sold yourself. You've left the man on the outside. I don't think they put that down properly. I don't think that's a try, actually.
A talking point.
Well, the rule is he's got to have downward pressure on the ball and have it under his control as he does it. Well, he's got away with it, but technically I don't think he put that down properly.
Ludovic Mercier won't worry too much about that. He's added the extra 2 points, and for the 7th time in the match, the lead changes hands. It's 25-22, and we can have another look at this.
This is important from Henry Paul there. Look, he holds the defence. That brings him in. Important work there by Paul. Oh, that is... No, he's dropped it. That is not a try. That's not a try.
Jamie Forrester gets away with it, and Gloucester have a 5-point lead again. 27-22. And if they end up winning the match by less than score, you can rest assured that will be a big discussion point at the end of the match. It seems harsh, but you have to have control of the ball. You've got to be touching the ball when it hits the ground, and clearly Forrester wasn't.
Well, I suppose morally Gloucester will say, well, we've done all the hard work, he was over the line. But why did he just dive? No, that's not down. And we saw him in the A game do that twice, and he may well alter his try-scoring method after that, seeing that. Because one day it won't work for him, and it'll be important.
Well, he certainly knows how to score tries. A hat-trick against Bristol recently in a stunning performance at the Memorial Ground. A brace against the Scottish A team at Northampton's home, Franklin's Gardens. And away from the controversy of the try as Ben Cohen clears the touch, he is such a promising back row player for Clive Woodward to be able to conjure with the World Cup on the horizon.
Yeah, it's fantastic. England already have a great back row. Doesn't harm though, does it, to have someone of him, his quality, pushing you, being available. Gloucester are ramping this up. Northampton at the moment are rocking a little bit.
Let's have another look at this. We need to see it slowly. Now, does the ball leave Forrester's hands, his fingers, before it touches the ground?
Oh, clearly. Actually, that's not even close, actually. Ooh. Oh dear. And where was the touch judge and the referee? Where were they at the time?
Please. Get the space, Red. Get the space.
In fairness to Tony Spreadbury, he would have needed the eyes of whatever animal in the world has the sharpest eyesight, because really from his distance it would have been very difficult to tell, and the benefit of television replays raised the question. Terrific take from Henry Paul, it really was. Gathered in the slips, wasn't it? Ball cleared by Nick Bill, but they were playing the advantage. Interesting point, by the way, Brian. Ed Morrison, who is watching these pictures back in our truck in the car park, can't disallow the try. He can only give advice when asked for it.
Well, I'm sure that Northampton might be calling for a rule change. Actually, I don't see why he shouldn't be able to disallow it if he can see something like that. Surely what you actually want is the right decision to be made, whatever it is. I don't think people care if there's a a minor or a temporary hiatus in the action. People really want justice to be done.
We aren't privy, by the way, to what Ed thinks of it, so we don't know whether he would have disallowed it, but it's an interesting point, isn't it?
Well, he would if he's not blind.
Back to the match, 27-22, and we wondered if the second half could live up to the first half, and well, it already is, isn't it? Gomersall to Mercier. Again, interesting use of the boot. Onto the big, wide, open side. Doesn't find touch, though. This is Ben Cohen, and Northampton have spent much of the second half in their own half thus far. Andy Gomersall knocking the ball backwards. Here's Mercier.
Hold, please.
This time, the left-footed kicker does find touch, but it was interesting to see the way the try came as Nigel Melville watches on, because the way Melville and Dean Ryan alongside him want to play the game is that quick recycling game, making sure that Gomersall works hard and finding the spaces, and it's exactly how this try came about.
Yes, well, earlier on I thought that James Simpson-Daniel could have gone himself. Henry Paul does very important work there, holding and fixing the inside backs there for Northampton. And Jeremy Forrester went over the line and didn't put it down, but got the try.
Terrific drive from the Northampton pack. Grayson to John Leslie.
Stay back foot, back foot.
One of Scotland's kilted Kiwis, who's since turned his back on Test match life to Northampton's benefit. Here's Dawson trying to find a way through again. Grayson, not for the first time, using the tactic of trying to find the winger. And I think the ball was knocked forward. Ben Cohen suggesting the ball was knocked backwards, but sadly, he doesn't have the whistle in his hands. That's the Northampton coaching crew. Ben Ratcliffe on the left-hand side is the forwards coach, and Wayne Smith, who's been in charge for nearly 18 months now.
Stand up and listen a minute. Just listen, please. Listen, please.
Do they have I don't know, do they have a monitor in front of them so they can see that? I'm not sure they do, but...
Stay back, please, Matt. Stay back, mate. Stay there, stay.
Mercier. Being mildly hassled by Matt Dawson. Not that it made a difference. Mercier's kicking like a dream.
Well, and he's got the advantage of the win this half, and he's going to kick like a mule anyway. So Matt Dawson, sterling work for England this year. How desperate he will be not to be on the losing side again in a final.
One of the best two scrum halves in the world, according to Wayne Smith, the man we've just seen a shot of. The other one, you will not be surprised to hear, is another Kiwi, Justin Marshall. But Dawson is up there. Was that knocked forward by Grayson? It was. And Nick Beale, eyeing the glory of a second try, will come all the way back because it'll be a Gloucester scrum.
Well, Tony Spreadbury's not short of advice from the various players. They're all chatting to him. But this is interesting because Gloucester, options either side here. Which way will they go? Henry Paul's right.
Gomersall feeding Paul quickly. Timus Delport was offering himself. Garvey, the intended recipient. Northampton getting themselves in a right old mess.
And he's deliberately thrown the ball away, and that's a penalty, and he's right there. Nick Beale collided with Ben Cohen, who's hurt. I think he's down. It's a clever little one here. Being shepherded, and he simply throws the ball off. Mind you, I think it's Nick Beale. I think he will probably claim he's hurt.
Well, it's Beale who's down.
Yeah. Marcus Garvey shepherded there. Oh, and he catches his hip. Gets a whiplash, and then he throws the ball out. And you're not allowed to do that. You can't throw the ball away deliberately. I don't know whether he'll claim he's concussed or he's hurt, but I think the referee's right there.
I think it's a little harsh on poor old Nick Beale, who's just taken a right old wallop to the head, doesn't know entirely where he is, and I think was just going up to cover his head. I would have thought that was a natural reaction, but Well, we shall see. Shot of Matty Stewart there, the Northampton prop, the Scotland prop. Wayne Smith just delivering instructions down to the touchline.
Well, he caught Ben Cohen, who is a very powerful 16-stone winger.
Not 186. I know what you're saying. When he pushed me straight into him, I know, I've got to see it, mate. I've got to see it. It's fine. Look on the video. That's fine, no problem.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because Ben Cohen saying that he was actually pushed into Nick Beale, so it'll be interesting to see that again.
That's no problem.
Well, he may well have been pushed into Nick Beale, but the reason he was pushed into there was because he deliberately ran in front of Marcus Garvey to get in his way. I think if you look at this, Ben Cohen, look, he looks right there. Look, he knows where he is. He could run straight for that ball, but he doesn't do. He chooses to run outside so that he gets in Garvey's way. And Garvey did push him. But Cohen deliberately ran in front of him. So I think he should have pushed him. Look, he has a push. But Cohen went out of his way. He didn't go straight for the ball. He went out of his way. He looked right to see where Garvey's path of run was and just took the line. There you are, look, he's looking outside, not going for the ball, shepherding, that's obstruction, and unfortunately Beale gets a crack because of the push. Well, he's all right, thank goodness.
Might have a bruise there in the morning, Nick Beale. Talk this season that this season might be his last, but quite rightly he's been persuaded to go on for at least another year, and the substitution has been made, by the way, in the front row. Matty Stewart's on and Robbie Morris is off, an Englishman off and a Scotsman on.
Well, I thought that Gloucester were just starting to get on top and Woodman was starting to give Robbie Morris a bit of a hard time. I think Wayne Smith agreed, thought there's got to be a change.
Attacking scrum for Gloucester, and critically they've got the surge on. Northampton doing their best to disrupt, and it looks as if they have.
Well, I really don't understand referees sometimes in the front rows. How often do you see front rows go up in situations when they're going forward and get penalised? That time when Gloucester are going forward, they're going for an 8-man scrum, Northampton pop out and he doesn't do anything.
I'm not sure he's enjoying himself too much, Tony Spreadbury. Telling the teams to stop chopsing, let him referee the game. It really is beginning to heat up. Saw a group of players just involving themselves in the okey-cokey there. Let's go back down to the touchline. Jill Douglas.
Thanks very much. With me, John Steele, Northampton's Operations Director. And what have you made of it so far this half?
Well, an amazing game, amazing first half. I don't know how many times the lead changed hands, but it's got a bit tighter this half and the pace has slowed down. But I think the whole thing's going to be decided maybe by an error here or there or a bit of brilliance from someone. So good for the neutral observer, a bit nerve-wracking for the supporters on each side.
I know you looked on the monitor, you saw Jamie Forrester's try. Did you see him touch it down, and what was your feelings on that?
Well, the try was given, that's the end of it, and the boys have got to get back from that. We need to make sure that we tighten up and keep hold of the ball, giving the ball away too much in that first 10 minutes. If we get a bit of possession, we know we can play and we know we can score. So what's been has been, but we need to focus now on the next half an hour.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Yeah, whatever we think about Jamie Forrester, look in the paper tomorrow morning, the familiar refrain. Just in case you were wondering, by the way, the lead changed hands 6 times in the first half, and it's changed hands once in the second so far. There's Jamie Forrester.
Well, when he puts this into the Gloucester half, it'll be one of the few times in 15-16 minutes that Northampton have been there. Gloucester again losing a line-out throw. That's 2 or 3 at least they've lost. Well, they may well have had that possession, but there you are, that's the difference, isn't it?
75,000 people, not a seat to be had at Twickenham, watching on and wondering. Gloucester have a penalty. The balance of power has shifted at the start of this second half, and it's shifted towards the West Country.
And this is, well, Mercier is lining up, and he's one of the reasons why they've spent so much time in at the Northampton half, because his boot has kept them there. And what Gloucester need now is they need to have secure possession, because they've wobbled a bit in the line out, and when they've had possession they've looked dangerous.
Interesting little statistic, that, isn't it? Every other ball he's been thrown, he's kicked away. Not literally, but looking for territorial advantage. Moments like this that Jamie Forrester, who gathers at the back of the line-out, can maybe capitalise on. Here's Fanalua, Delport. Nick Beale was well positioned and had time to make the clearance.
Well, the ball there didn't make much ground. I can't help thinking, because Tinus Delport was on the ground, and if he'd just kicked it long, Delport comes in here, so there's no fullback, remember. There's a big gap down the right-hand side there, and if he just welled it straight, might have made ground.
I think he gave it quite a bit, didn't he, which is a real indication of how strong that wind is down on pitch level, and it's blowing into Northampton's faces at the moment. Took too long, not allowed to delay. Azam was saying that the line-out was a mess, and that was the reason he was waiting, but he's been penalised.
Well, his arm was going backwards and forwards as well. He wasn't being helped, but it doesn't matter because Northampton have got the ball.
Dawson to Grayson. Oh. Hint of a high tackle. Not given.
I don't think so. Northampton at the moment, I don't really know where they're going. Difficult to see a pattern.
Olivier Azam just making sure Tony Spreadbury guarantees that metre gap, but Northampton challenging for the line out well, as they have to. Tom Smith and Steve Thompson were trying to ferry the ball back, but you can see what's happened. Cherry and Whites regain possession. Here's Fanalua, tries to hand off Jorgensen. Midway through the second half, an hour gone at Twickenham. Gloucester leading still 27-22. One of the try scorers, Marcel Garvey, feeds Adam Eustace, who incidentally attracted Northampton's interest earlier in the season. Adam Eustace. Ball was knocked forward, and Gloucester will have the scrum, but at the moment Northampton just cannot get out of their own half.
No, well, Mercier is trying different things. It is interesting when Gloucester move the ball, quite often their centres, Fanalua and Henry Paul, are actually stationary, and normally that's anathema really, but what's happening is that the Northampton centres are coming up their backs, and they're being held, and the wingers and the people who've got space outside, it's very odd.
Another of Gloucester's bright young hopes, Andy Hazel, has done his work, and one of Gloucester's big superstars, a real favourite back in the shed, Junior Paramore, 34-year-old son of the South Seas, and a right old bruiser, and not a bad man to have coming on in this situation, takes his place at number 8. See Henry Paul just switching across, switch positions there, finds Mercier, Fanalua through the tackle of Jorgensen, back on his feet, big strong player, Terry Fanalua, Paramore's cousin, chipped on by Gomersall, but the ball was in touch.
Well, that was a bad option. It was about 4 inches of space there. Fanalua nearly gets away, rides the tackle, fights hard here. But you watch when Andy Gomersall comes here. No, that was never going to work.
There's Fanalua. Jorgensen, the Australian, having one or two problems with his shoulder. Been a key player in Northampton's cup run. Scored injury time tries against Orrell that kept them in the cup, and against Bath that kept them in the cup. Occasions, both of them where you thought Northampton's run was coming to an end. That was in the 6th round, the first round for these clubs against Orrell up at Edge Hall Road. Remember, you and I were commentating at Wasps against Bath that day, and Northampton seemed down and out, and you wondered on that day whether their name might be on the cup. But Jorgensen is off, and he's been replaced by Chris Hindman, so there'll be no injury time heroics from Jorgensen today. Chris Hindman, the 21-year-old centre, is on. Dawson continues to work hard.
Well, it's safe into touch, but again, we're still in Northampton territory, and Gloucester is very gradually are getting to grips with this game as a stranglehold. And Northampton, if they don't get better territory, they're going to struggle. There you are, line outs there. Look, Gloucester have lost 4 of them. That's nearly 50%. That's just not good enough. In a modern game, you can't do that. Azam, if there is a weakness in his game, that's where it is.
Steve Williams just taking a breather. Excelled for Wales this season. Northampton actually brought him in from London Irish thinking he wouldn't be playing Test match rugby again. I think they were kiboshed a little by his return to form. Played for London Irish against Northampton here a year ago. Tinas Delport half breaking through, and Gloucester will have a penalty, and we're going to have a yellow card as well.
Yeah, and he's right. Grayson doesn't like it, but he would have been away there. Yeah, he knows, he really knows. That's a professional one, he's gobbing now. I don't know who he's talking to.
Don't think he's happy.
Well, there's a break here. Tinas Delport, there's a man inside waiting. Henry Paul, yeah. That's a professional foul. Good decision by Tony Spreadbury.
He was gambling a little bit, wasn't he, Paul Grayson? Hoping to gather man as soon as he got the ball, but he was just a split second too soon. 15 minutes to go. And for the next 10 minutes, Gloucester will have a man advantage. And they might very soon be 8 points clear as well, because if Mercier can kick this kick, they will reach 30 points.
Well, it's very important because it'll be 2 scores then.
Maybe the key moment of the game. Grayson's gone. Mercier continues to kick his kicks, and you wouldn't know it by looking at the bench, but Gloucester have edged into an 8-point lead with a quarter of an hour to go. Gloucester 30, Northampton 22.
Well, the conundrum now for Northampton is not only how do they cope with a man down, but with a fly half off as well. Who do they take off, who do they put on, or whatever? Because they've got to solve that key position.
Well, it's going to be really interesting to see who Northampton play at fly half. Who's going to partner Dawson? Taken on by Olivier Azam. Gomersall under pressure, finds Mercier. That's a tall French steepler. Nick Beale, who's had an immaculate game, does outstandingly well. Dragged to the floor rather unceremoniously by Henry Paul. Well, I'm not sure that Matty Stewart will be the permanent fly half. I hope not, because that wasn't very good.
Well, not after that he won't.
Here's the catch from Beale.
Yeah, it's good. Eyes on the ball, look. Good technique, anyone watching. Gets away. And then he turns the ball over when Henry Paul clocks him later on. I don't quite know what Matty Stewart was doing there. He seemed to sort of half give the ball, half try to catch it back. Steve Thompson there. Fantastic performances for England this year, but Northampton desperately need people like him, and coin. The big men, the big internationals, they have to stand up now. Here we go. Well, some people might say that's high. I don't think it is. Goes on there, Matty Stewart standing in. Oh, there we go. Fred Carno.
There's Matty Stewart. Missed out on the Scotland Six Nations squad. Having a break in play, by the way, because Junior Paramore is just being patched up. Worried luck on the faces of Brendan Ratcliffe and Wayne Smith.
Well, they must be wondering where they're going in this game, because this half really they've been shut out.
With a one-man advantage, Gloucester and Henry Paul are on the attack again. Gomersall clears up. Here's Henry Paul again. Knows all about winning major cup finals. Dawson did well. Beale. This is Rehana. How much do Northampton want it? How much do they not want to repeat the pain of a year ago when they lost to London Irish? They've got a penalty. Andy Deacon is furious with himself.
But even so, they'll clear this ball. I'm not sure they'll get it, even get into Gloucester territory. The wind, you can see the flags at the top of the stadium. It's blowing even harder now.
Pitch not looking in bad nick, bearing in mind this is the 5th match that's been played on it today.
And look at that, 83% as we see Tinas Delport coming back into the action.
Just to nudge that 83% up another notch maybe. Real wrestle for the ball on the ground. Comes back on the Gloucester side. Mercier to Paul. Big tackle on Jamie Forrester from John Leslie. And it's a penalty within eminently kickable range for Ludovic Mercier.
Well, I thought for a moment that it was Henry Paul who was going to get penalised here for not releasing, because he gets isolated here. With a thumping tackle gone into him, Forrester hasn't got the ball there, and he's saying, well, you're not allowed to release the ball. I don't know. I suppose what you could say was the tackler wasn't on his feet. But anyway, as you said before, doesn't matter now, it's been given and it's right in front of the post.
Say again.
And the way that Mercier has been controlling and kicking in this game, it's fairly odds on that he'll put this through as well.
If this goes over, they will be ordering the extra barrels in the pubs down Gloucester way. Well, it looked tentative right from the start, didn't it? And those landlords have just put the phone down.
Well, as soon as you open your mouth, that's what happens, so I'll be quiet. Definitely to the people in Gloucester.
10 minutes to go. The lead is 8 points. And Paul Grayson, remember, still stewing in the sin bin. Terry Fanalua up over halfway. And another penalty. It's the problem Northampton are going to have as Grayson watches on.
Yeah, they just can't get out their own half, can't they? They can't get the primary possession. As a consequence, they can't get the secondary or the tertiary or anything else. And now, yeah, he's going to have a go from halfway. Why not? Because he's going to clock another minute down at least. If he kicks it, it's 3 points. If he doesn't, Northampton will touch the ball down, or they've got to run 100 metres.
Well, he's been linked with a move back to Montferrand over the summer, and with Gloucester's financial problems, you can't really guarantee that any player will stay, but he is such a key element to this team. They will be desperate to hang on to him. Doesn't make the same mistake twice. And the lead is up to 11 points. Northampton will have to score 2 converted tries because with less than 10 minutes to go, courtesy of this long-range penalty, Gloucester lead 33-22, and don't they know it.
Well, I think it's going to be a long, horrible journey back up the M1 for all these thousands of Northampton supporters. Look at that again, Mercier sits it down, bang, 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 there we go. Take that, more time in your own half. And they just can't get out of there, and they need something extra special, and I don't see where it's going to come from.
Dave Ellis, you might notice there in the middle on his feet, the French defensive coach, and also Gloucester's as well. And I think at the moment, actually, Northampton are playing against 2 extra men, because as well as Grayson being down, the wind is definitely in Gloucester's favour as well.
Yeah, you can see all the kicks are floating down, extra distance.
Stay there. No.
Well, they're full of character, Northampton. Never write them off. They're a proper rugby club, but they are under the cosh at the moment. Ball driven on by Jake Bohr. Mercier, another try would surely seal it. Fanalua, huge overlap. If only they could have found Garvey. Decided not to use him. Still have possession though. Gomasol, all well played by Mercier, picked up off his feet. Driven on by Trevor Woodman. Rob Fiddler, Paramore, ball bounces to Forrester. Off the posts. And they'll come all the way back.
Forrester doesn't like it, does he? Bit of a Hollywood there though, a bit of a swan dive, I think. I think he was called looking for it, leaving your leg there. A Francis Jeffers attempt, I think.
Wait, Tom.
In the meantime, Gloucester have made the substitution. An interesting one. Henry Paul has been replaced by Robert Todd, one Kiwi for another, and also Junior Paramore out of picture. There he is. Is going off as well. He's the replacement, and he's been replaced by Ed Pearce. So the replacement replaced.
Okay, let's go.
Ed Pearce, another giant lump of a West Countryman. There he is, number 22. He and his size 16 boots won't give up this lead very easily.
Well, it can't be long before Grayson's back on. In fact, I think he's on now. And what can he do? Because if Northampton don't score, well, virtually now, they're dead.
5 minutes to go. 5 minutes to go. As Northampton continue to shake the dice. Darren Fox, their young flanker. There he is, the 22-year-old, full of promise and fierce intent, but, well, won't he have a story to tell if he can turn this match around. Four and a half, plus however much injury time added on. Nick Beale. They've got to score a try very shortly, Northampton. Chris Hindman driven back. Bruce Rehana goes to ground. Dawson, John Leslie, Steve Williams in the line. Lovely hands from Matt Lord, had to stretch but did well to gather. Now the support needs to be there, which it is. Dawson to Grayson, but the ball was not forward. One too many avoidable mistakes.
Well, they've not had very much ball anyway, and when you contrive to, well, turn the ball over, in effect. No, I'm afraid that it's not Northampton's day today. The supporters of Gloucester will very shortly be jigging around, I think.
Steve Williams, the man to be replaced by Darren Fox. Fox is a flanker, Williams is a lock, so it means that Mark Connors, the Australian, moves up into the second row. And that's Adam Eustace, who's down at the moment. The England A-lock needing a bit of attention.
Matt Dawson's not happy. I tell you what's happened. Tony Spreadbury wanted to carry on because he said that the banner who was down originally wasn't in the way, and then all of a sudden, as if by a miracle, someone in the Gloucester front row is injured.
It's the oldest man ever to play in a cup final, so I guess he has a reason. He's Andy Deacon, and at 37 years and 9 months you can forgive him a bit of cramp.
Did he just wink then? I'm sure he did. That's an old pro's trick, is that?
No point having it if you don't use it, Brian, as well you know. Here's Mercier. It's become a familiar routine, a depressing routine, if you're watching this in the East Midlands. Beale. Big kick from Beale. Gathered by Azam. We know the French can score tries from their own 22, but I don't think Olivier Azam will. And a bit of back chat from Gloucester means that the penalty is marched forward 10 metres. Northampton don't have time to hang around. This is Matt Lord. They need a try. A minute and a half of normal time left, plus injury time. And again, the ball was not forward. Gloucester will have the scrum.
Well, we talk about old pro tricks there was one by Olivier Azam. As the ball came out, right for Northampton, they call it lazy running. Says I'm onside, puts his hand up, and all of a sudden he appears between the fly half and the scrum half.
Gomersall feeds the defensive scrum. A minute of normal time to go, and with that vicious wind, Mercier hammers the ball back downfield. Bruce Reihana runs into fellow Kiwi Robert Todd. This is Nick Beale, who's doing as much as anyone to lift Northampton's spirits. Oh, if that had worked. Came off Tinas Delport, who might fancy a counter-attack of his own.
He's going to the corner, he's going! Calm down! He's going!
I think we're going to have another
You're going!
yellow card.
Well, why was that?
Tinas Delport, obstruction.
What?
Well, Tinas Delport shaking his head.
Well, you might have got him for, I don't know, something on the floor with Matt Dawson. Well,
there won't be 10 minutes of injury time. So for the rest of this final, Gloucester are down to 14 men.
Well, there we go. Who was he obstructed here? You might have got him for a shove, maybe not. I'm not sure, but very close. You may have got him for on the ball, but not obstruction. That's a bit of an aberration, if you ask me.
Well taken in by Adam Eustace. Mercier finds touch. This is Nick Beale with the one-man advantage. Can Northampton make it pay? Andy Blowers loves running with the ball. Terrific athlete, Blowers. As is Steve Thompson. They need quick ball. Dawson's looking for it. Grayson. Reihana had to check. Did well to hang on to possession. Dawson again. Half looking for the gap, which he found so well against Ireland. Which way is it going?
Scrum that way.
Ball was not forward. It'll be a Northampton scrum, and some news, Brian, to cheer you if you're from Northampton and to worry you if you're from Gloucester. We're going to have 6 minutes of added time.
Oh, well. But Northampton have got a great attacking play. They have to score a try here. This is a chance. They've got to put it away. They've got a man extra. Now is the time. Has to be. The number 8 has gone in the slot here, which means he's moved over. Quick ball, maybe. Maybe a move going left.
We're now down to 5 minutes of that injury time that's left. Dawson, oh, it's given away to the Frenchman Mercier. It's a sprint for the line. He wouldn't have done it on his own, but this man will. James Simpson-Daniel ends the Gloucester Cup drought. 21 years after they last lifted the trophy, they will be lifting it again.
Well, it's party time in Gloucester, isn't it? Well, you've got to give Northampton credit. They tried everything they could. And in the end, Mercier knows he's not going to get there, waits, and once he's away, you're not going to catch him. Oh, wait a minute, did he touch the ball down as well? Like to say, I don't know,
oh,
sure, either.
No. Let's not go through this again. We'll have another look, Brian, just for you. Let's see the conversion first. Mercier, who made the initial break, composes himself enough to add the 2 points. The fist up in the air in celebration. And it's Gloucester 40, Northampton 22.
Well, again, big dive. Does he let go of the ball? No, that one's all right.
Thank goodness for that.
And they are happy, aren't they? Look at that. For Northampton, another loss, and they know it's there.
3 minutes into injury time. It's 40-22. And it's been all Gloucester with the wind in the second half. Mercier clears. Brian's got to get his thinking cap on because he needs to announce the Powergen man of the match very shortly. I'll come to you for that in a moment, Brian. I reckon we've got about 3 minutes of injury time left. And Ben Cohen, one of Northampton's European Cup winners 3 years ago, knows a 4th opportunity to win a domestic trophy is slipping them by. Dawson to Grayson. Here's John Leslie. Mercier, who hasn't stopped, makes the tackle. Dawson to Cohen. This is Tom Smith in the wide open spaces. Matt Lord. Still plenty of character in this Northampton team. They know it's gone, but they're not giving up. And that will do. The smile on the face of Ludovic Mercier speaks for 100,000 Gloucester smiles. 21 years on, Gloucester are the cup winners. They've beaten Northampton by 40 points to 22, and no one will doubt they deserved it.
Well, the commentary position here is actually shaking with the Gloucester crowd behind me. Ludovic Mercier, man of the match, controlled it superbly in the second half. He pinned Northampton back. They just couldn't get out of there. Anytime they made mistakes, Gloucester were on them. And it just meant that gradually, all the life was sucked out of Northampton, and then the killer at the end, try by Simpson-Daniel. Forrester had done damage, a try which wasn't but was awarded, but they'd gone over the line, and on balance it's a very, very well-deserved win for Gloucester.
There's the man of the match, Ludovic Mercier. Be fascinating to see if we see him down in Australia. He really isn't flashy, but he does the simple things well, and Jake Ball, man of the match here in the Zurich Championship final at the end of last season, has a more significant task to do in the next couple of minutes. Let's go down to the touchline. Jill Douglas.
Thanks very much. Two very happy Gloucester players here, and two very happy Gloucester players here. Congratulations, fantastic stuff. James Simpson-Daniel, 2 tries for yourself. How much did you enjoy that?
Yeah, great feeling. The crowd was brilliant. The boys played very well, and yeah, it was a great one.
In the end, quite a convincing scoreline. Do you think that reflects the match?
No, I think towards the last 10 minutes is when we got our points that won us the game. But we worked hard all game. Northampton were a great side, but luckily we came off better.
Well, this is the man who kept you in it all along. A fantastic kicking display, fantastic all-round display. You're our Powergen man of the match. If I can ask James to present Ludovic Mercier with that. Congratulations. How much did you enjoy that?
It's very enjoyed, very enjoyed. And it's a big pleasure to play in Twickenham and to win. And it's a great for the team, for the club, for the fans. When you see the fans in the stadium, it's fantastic. And I don't know what. It's difficult to me to explain because it's very great pleasure for me today to win against Northampton today.
First piece of silverware for Gloucester this season. Is there more to come?
Yeah, but we need to achieve well this season. You know, we win today, and now we look forward for the final and to finish first in the league. And we need to achieve the season well now.
Enjoy the moment. Thank you very much.
Well, some great pictures here of families and friends and fans having a fantastic day out from the West Country, and their journey down the M4, not the M5. It's going to be an awful lot more pleasurable than the Northampton Saints fans heading up the M1. And I suppose the key thing, people always say that it's forwards who determine who wins matches and backs who decide what the margin of victory is going to be, Lawrence. And in the end, it was the Gloucester pack that won it.
It was obviously very close at half-time, 2 points in the game, and Gloucester really came out and dominated possession in the second half. And I think we were all a little bit worried that domination of possession wasn't going to turn itself into points, but in the end, they've run out comfortable winners.
Happy man is with Jill Douglas.
Well, Nigel Neville, many congratulations. How does this feel?
Oh, brilliant. You know, any time coming here and winning a trophy, particularly with these people, you know, it's just fantastic.
What about this amazing crowd? Is there anybody left in Gloucester?
Yeah, it's great. You know, club rugby's in good hands with these people around here. Northampton as well, fantastic effort, and it's made it a fantastic day here for everybody. And OK, the result went against Northampton, but they played very well. It was a good game, and you know, we're just delighted to have won.
They've waited a very long time to get this kind of success down in Gloucester. What do you think's been the catalyst?
I don't know. I think these guys have been around a long time. A lot of the nucleus of strong Gloucester boys. We brought in some other guys, and they're just, you know, winning away from home is a big thing for them now. You know, they enjoy playing away, but these people around, you know, they're the guys that come along with us every week and just spur us on week in, week out. And every single day at Gloucester, you know you've got to win something for them, and today's the day.
We know how disappointed you were to go out of the European Cup. Does this make up for that in some way?
Yeah, we learnt a lot. We said in the changing room after that game that this is the one we wanted to win now. You know, we had to go and win this for the fans. They made a big effort to give up the Munster. We didn't deliver. And we learned a lot of lessons about ourselves that day, and I think they came into play today.
Thank you very much. Enjoy it.
Well, Gloucester won the first ever Knockout Cup in 1972, beating Moseley in the final. They won it in 78, beating Leicester. They won it in 82, beating Moseley again. And here we are 21 years later with Gloucester the champions once more. And I think we can hear from, we can't hear from anybody quite at the moment yet. We're going to hear from somebody from Northampton who I'm sure are licking their wounds at the moment. Lawrence, you've played down at Kingsholm a lot, obviously. And one of the great debating points when the game went professional was whether rugby could, if you like, reflect that kind of tribalism that football has. If it has it anywhere, it has it in Gloucester, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And Gloucester traditionally have been a side that have drawn their players from Gloucester. And I think in the last few years that they've started to bring in overseas players. And you know, everyone knows, you know, Jerry, myself included, that you know what a tough place it is to go and play. And few people have doubted their ability to play at home and the record that they have and the wonderful support that they create at Kingsholm. But what they've managed to do now is bolt on the away victories. And you know, Nigel Melville and Dean Ryan have to take a certain amount of credit for that.
OK, let's hear from Matt Dawson. He's with Jill.
Well, Matt, a week is a long time in rugby. How disappointing was that?
Yeah, it's very disappointing for the club. Unfortunately, I know how it feels, and it doesn't get any better. I feel very sorry for everyone involved. It's been a really, really good campaign. We played well in the first half. We had some glimpses, but second half we just didn't keep the ball. And Gloucester punished us with good territory and some good attacking play out wide. I think just got to stand back and let them take the credit. With boys are gutted at the moment.
I know you went away from this match at Northampton last year defeated and felt you'd let the fans down, let yourselves down. Do you think perhaps today you went some way towards repairing that hurt?
No, not until we get some silverware. Domestic silverware is going to be important for the club. The fans have been awesome. They stand by us through thick and thin, and yet again you know, they're going to be so disappointed, and so are we. I don't think they ever think we let them down. They're a great bunch. They're always very, very pleased and proud for us, and they'll be the ones that pick the team up.
What was the difference, do you think, between these two sides today?
About 18 points. No, they kept the ball well. They didn't mess around with it. We played some good rugby, as I say, in the first half, but we just couldn't get into it. That early try in the second half killed us off a bit, and you know, they locked up shop. They had a good half time, and we obviously didn't have quite as good one.
Okay, thanks very much.
That's 4 finals that Northampton have lost in just over a decade, Lawrence. So maybe it's fated that they're not going to win this trophy.
Yeah, disappointing for them and for guys like Matt Dawson, you know. But you know, as he said there, credit to Gloucester. I mean, Northampton have had the fillip of winning the European Cup, which not many other people can say they've won. And they're also, you know, a very, very good side under Wayne Smith, and they're still in the European Cup this season, the Heineken Cup. So I'm sure that they'll get something out of this season. But you know, credit to Gloucester, they play very well.
Actually, we'll talk about the impact that today's defeat might have on Northampton next week when they have to go to Toulouse. Goodness me, that's a challenge and a half. After the presentation of the Powergen Cup, let's go back to Brian and Nick.
Our referee, Tony Spreadbury.
Thank you, John.
Touch judges, Ashley Reed.
Presentation party made up of the RFU President Derek Morgan and the Chief Executive of Powergen, Paul Golby. Just handing out the medals, first of all, to the officials. Spreaders didn't let us down. Bit of controversy, plenty of natter, lots of entertainment. And interesting to see the two club chairmen as well there, Northampton's Keith Barwell and Gloucester's Tom Walkinshaw. First of all, it must be the longest walk of all. The losers' medals, the medals no one ever wants. The medals that might be shoved in a drawer and forgotten about for the rest of their lives. John Leslie leads his Northampton team up. And I hope Gloucester fans will forgive me for this, but no team deserves to lose a cup final 4 times. Well, it's very difficult, isn't it? Because some players in there have played in all 4. What must you feel if destiny is against you?
Andrew Blowers just walking through shot, tried as hard as anyone. Mark Connors will have bigger and better days. It's a Northampton team on the up, superbly coached, supremely coached by Wayne Smith, and who's to say they won't be back here again in a year's time, and who's to say they might not yet win the Powergen Cup. Kiss from Keith Barwell for Matt Dawson, and they've got a big game as well. Next weekend they go to Toulouse in the European Cup, and my, how that would make up for missing out on this one. They've still got Europe to aim for.
And now led by Jake Ball, captain of the winning side this afternoon. Gloucester will take the stage.
It's been 21 years since the Cherry and Whites made this walk. In 1982 they had to share the cup with Moseley after a draw. In 2003 they will get both hands on it. And how fitting that Andy Deacon lifts the trophy, the oldest ever man to play in a cup final, the personification of Gloucester rugby, lifts the cup, and he's joined by his teammates. And there is a cherry and white moon rising over Twickenham, and there's a cup heading west.
Well, Deacon Jr., Jake Bohr, and there's no argument, they were the better team on the day, and in the end by quite a long way.
And it might yet be a League and Cup double. Only Bath have ever achieved that feat, but Gloucester well clear at the top of the Premiership. They'll be back here for the end of season Premiership final, against whom we'll wait to see. But this may become a familiar routine by the end of the season. Jake Ball, who's led the team terrifically well, the South African. But a word too as well about Nigel Melville. Came in with the club in difficult circumstances. They still are in difficult circumstances. Lots and lots of cash problems, but you cannot buy moments like this.
Well, Dean Ryan was asked by the players to come up on the stand, and typically for him, they refused to do so. Never shy on retiring on the field. But he has done a super job down there with Nigel Melville. coaching staff, brains behind it. Old adversaries there. Paul Gratian, Dean Ryan.
And talk about domestic rugby's centre of dominance changing this season. Maybe Leicester are on the way out. There will be one or two at Welford Road who'll have some thoughts about this, but this is the team of the moment. This is the team of the season. And there's Tom Walkinshaw. And it looks like we're about to have a word with him as well. Jill just getting the chairman, the money man, in position. And let's see if we can have a word with Tom.
Well, Tom Walkinshaw, very happy man indeed. How pleased were you with that performance today?
Yeah, I think the guys did a fantastic job. We contained Northampton in the first half and then went out to win it in the second. So, yeah, they played really well.
These fans have waited a long time for this kind of success, and the club. What does it mean to you on a personal level?
I think, you know, the fans are the best in the league, you know, they've given us fantastic support, so I'm really proud of all of them, and it obviously means a lot to me as well, but it means a lot for Gloucestershire and the West Country.